Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 360 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. And today I'm updating the greatest rogue deck of all time, the best rogue deck, period, point blank. SHADDOLS are just insane. This deck is totally bonkers. This deck is borderline broken, and I'm super glad that it's still like sort of roguish, even though some people are like, it's inclining on popularity, but I need it to stay on the DL because I don't want anything to happen to my babies. So the build that I'm showing you guys today is the fusion heavy build. I'm bringing it back because how I feel about this build is it's my preference. I have the most fun playing it. I'm very comfortable with this. I know it like the back of my hand. The trap build was just for fans. It was just basically for followers and people who wanted to see the trap build, but it's not my forte. It's not my cup of tea. It's not what I like. I can get results with any Shaddol build. I've never lost a mirror match with this deck, but I know my preferences and I know what I have fun with, and I play to have fun. This is one of those decks where you could still play it to have fun and win an entire event with it. So why I love this deck is obviously it's an incredibly versatile deck. It's the jack of all trades deck in my opinion. It has the best toolbox in my opinion. In the terms of spot removal, you've got target destroy, target bounce, destroy without targeting, non-targeting, non-destruction removal. You got the ability to permanently negate cards. You've got back row removal. You've got graveyard hate. You've got special summon floodgates. You've got so many disruptions. You can negate monster effects. This deck has like not literally at all, but this deck feels like it has it all. In the terms of utility and advantage, you've got search power, draw power, the ability to special summon from hand, deck, or grave. This deck is just insane, honestly. Like, Shaddolls are just so good. Such a versatile deck, good at going first or going second, making boards and breaking board. At least my build. The trap build is like okay at going second, but it's not always gonna yield the best results. And in the terms of consistency, unless you are gonna, give an arm and a leg for Nadir Servants, I feel like the fusion heavy build is the most consistent for the simple fact that it turbos out Construct, and Construct is actually better than Nadir Servant in the terms of playing a Shaddol deck because she is always going to replace herself, and getting her engraved sets you up so that you can interact even better with cards like Resh. So when you're playing a Shaddol deck, Construct is op colonne and more beneficial effects. So she's just super duper powerful, very impactful. The only boards you can't really crack with fusion spells alone are boards that either have Abyss Dweller, the Bane of My Existence, the Wind Barrier statue, or Vanity's Ruler. This deck has always been able to beat Eldritch. I don't know why people just say that. Like, I feel like at this point, it's almost like a brain dead comment when they say Eldritch beats Shaddolls, because the truth of the matter is, this is not a Winda deck. That's what too many people think, and that's why they lose to Eldritch, obviously, because they're fusion turboing out Winda. But this deck is always going to grind better than Eldritch. It's always going to be able to disrupt them better. It's going to kill their Golden Lords and banish them. And also, this deck has always been able to play under VFD. Contrary to popular opinion, VFD does not shut this deck down. I've literally seen comments of people saying this deck loses to VFD, and it does not. In fact, my boy Andres clearly showed y'all and proved my point when he played through VFD and cracked the board. Because you have graveyard effects that have different attributes, and VFD can't change the attributes of cards in your grave and deny you from activating them. He can only call one attribute, which only cuts you off from one portion of your whole deck. It doesn't end the game. So this deck is crazy, yo. Like, this deck breaks through multiple negates, hand traps, back rows. My Shaddolls, I've always been breaking boards with this deck. I've broke through 4 Omni negates with this deck. This deck is just insane. And before getting into my list, I want to ask you guys a small favor. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. In fact, if you're planning on watching my videos in the future, it's going to be helpful for both me and you if you just subscribe, click the notification bell, so that way when I do upload, you guys will be there to catch me on the upside. Because sometimes people don't even know I have a video out, or they'll say, can you do a test hand video? And I'll be like, I already put it up. And they'll say, I didn't know. But if you had notifications enabled, you would know, especially when you're asking me to do a video. And I'm obviously trying to help you out by doing the video you asked for, but it doesn't help either one of us when you basically don't even know I made it because you didn't see it. So the notifications are also super important. And finally, if you would like to support my channel, I do have merch. I have Team Kings of Games t-shirts. I also would greatly appreciate it. They're large, small, and medium. There's not bigger sizes than that. And they're 15 bucks each. I would greatly appreciate it if you donated to my channel, whether it's through Patreon or PayPal, or even if it's through, any other means. I have them all the options available in the link description box below, even Cash App. Any blessing is appreciated. I don't really ask you guys for much, but I need to get into the habit of at least specifically bringing these things up, because a closed mouth don't get fed, and some people don't even subscribe unless you bring it to their attention. So I would greatly appreciate it. Nonetheless, I will always keep being who I am. It's not going to stop me or discourage me, whether you're not subscribed or whether you don't support my channel. But you know, a brother's got to eat, and I would, like I said, I would appreciate if you guys help me out. But with all of that said, let's go ahead and get into my profile. So, man, I got to get used to that, because I really don't ask people to subscribe, because I've always had this mentality of, for one, I think it's annoying. I think some people get annoyed by you always saying like, comment, subscribe in every video. And I always thought if people wanted to subscribe, you'd never have to tell them. But apparently you do. Otherwise, people won't subscribe. So that's why I'm annoying you guys by asking you to subscribe to me if you're not already. So starting off with starters, we have 2 Mathman, 2 Geldogras. Geldogras is actually insane. I'm glad I'm playing him again. I'm back to my roots. This is how I play dolls. This card, believe it or not, is like a Nadir Servant on legs. You can actually, if you're playing the Dogmatica variant, you can dump Titaniclad and Opcalone off one card. So this is like a 1-card Nadir Servant that has no Maximus drawbacks from your opponent being able to benefit from what they dump. And you can also still like link it off, so you could just, you know, do whatever plays you want to do. Get an extra deck monster on field to summon Ecclesia. Put an Almirage on field to protect your cards. Either way, in a pure Shaddol variant, it's still like a +2. I mean, it's still like a +1, but if you resolve its effect the second time, it's really not going to benefit you unless you, unless you have like a spell or trap you wanted to recur off of this. And because it's Earth, it is reactive. You have reactive protection in the sense that you could chain El Shaddol Fusion to anything that would threaten this, anything that would threaten it at all, even if they're just going to pop it. And let's say like you just had a El Shaddol Fusion in a doll, you could benefit from that by causing the punishment to miss its target so it won't get the dump. And you could still trigger a Shaddol effect, and if it's like Squamata or something, you could dump a Schism, link Checky off into a Gravity Controller, and just get your Schism. So there's some cool tips and tricks that I'm just sharing with you. Mathman is obviously has so many tricks up his sleeve. Mathman is insane. You guys know I love this card. So good. So good. Forces interruptions, breaks boards. Whenever my Shaddol Fusion gets negated, if I draw Shaddol Fusion going second and I draw a Mathman or even a Geldogras, kind of the same thing, I will activate it, let it get negated, normal math, dump Squamata, dump Shaddol Core, add my Shaddol Fusion back from grave to hand, activate it again because you negated the activation, and see whatever response you have after that. It also helps when you have Gamma because it forces more disruptions. That's why this deck is just really, really good at breaking boards. It just has so many ways to do it. Geldogger can kind of do the same thing. It's just you gotta pay life points to do it. But if a card said pay 7,999 life points to win the duel, would you put yourself at 1 life point to win? Heck yeah, who wouldn't? So now getting into the doll names, we play 4 Squamatas essentially. Foolish is obviously more utility because it can dump anything, including Golden Lord and Trick Clown, and attributes for Schism. And then we have 4 copies of Windy. Each LE can also be a Gamma, which is a light attribute, so it's a bit versatile as well. But we have Squamata being the best Shaddol, period, point blank. It really grinds my gears, or it hurts me to see people play 3 Windy and only 2 Squamata. Squamata is the effect of Construct on Summon. So I just don't know why people would play 3 of this before you play 3 of this. They're obviously the best Shaddol, so in my opinion, you should max out on both of them. For consistency's sake, and so that your hands are always as optimal as possible. And then we have 3 Hedgehog. Hedgehog is the 3rd best Shaddol. He lets you see the entire deck, just like Windy and Squamata, just in different ways. No matter how these cards interact, they will always let you see your entire deck. That's why I personally like maxing on them. And they're the best monsters to fusion with because they replace themselves, enabling more fusion plays, which is really, really good. Self-sustaining. Next up, another one of my really big favorites is Ariel. Before Schism came out, I was using Ariel to actually banish my own fusions to set up for a future Ariel. When I play this deck, I play it like I'm playing chess. I'm thinking ahead, I'm planning turns ahead, I'm strategizing to beat my opponent on their turn, and I'm strategizing to set up a way to keep more disruptions and my engine going if I can't OTK on the follow-up. So when you play this deck, it's going to benefit you to always think super far ahead instead of just the here and now, like, ooh, Schism or bust. A lot of people do that. The Trap dolls do that. Dogmatica dolls do that. They're always on the Schism or bust route. They're not really playing El Shaddol Fusion like that, and if they do, they play 1 and 3 Shaddol Fusions, which again hurts me to see. So they're always going to die to a Ghost Spell or a Cosmic Cyclone, which sucks. It really does. When I play this deck, I like to set up Resh, El Shaddol Fusion, and Schism. How do you do that? Turbo Construct, baby. She is the best Shaddoll fusion in the entire deck. I literally use her as a way to indirectly search my deck. I dump all the spells and traps I need and keep looping them from grave to hand. And that's how I've always played it. I use the cards the way they're designed to be played, in my opinion. That's how I see it. I play the deck as a toolbox deck, and the way I use my resources is the perfect way. I play this as a mid-range deck, so I don't always combo if I don't need to. But whenever I can combo, instead of getting Appaloosa and Dweller and Winda and stuff like that, I normally just go the route of getting Schism, Resh, and L because they're better disruptions, they're self-replacing, and they also can literally stop your opponent's turn. A well-timed Aerial can end your opponent's turn. A well-timed Winda, a well-timed Opcolone or a Construct Summon to disrupt your opponent. All of these are ways to interact. This is a controlled deck. It just conveniently can be aggressive whenever necessary. That's why it's like mid-range. It's in between. So Aerial's insane. And with Schism being legal now, since this card came out, it's just been a blessing because you're banishing your fusions a lot more. So Aerial is always going to be a combo extender on your first turn, or you can use it to just chain block when you fuse with it. And on your opponent's turn, it's a disruption. And on your follow-up, on your second turn, it's a crazy, crazy comeback or an insane follow-up because I always banish my constructs off of Schism so that my Aerial can bring my construct back and it turns into way too much advantage. Snowballing and recursive advantage. This deck, everything that plus is, you get it back because everything recurs itself. So it's like so much advantage. It's like Salamangreat, Sky Strikers, and it's like Salamangreat, Sky Strikers if they had a baby and became a combo deck. And it's just crazy because like Winda's a floodgate, so it's like you can't really compare Winda to anything. But it's like in the terms of advantage, it's like it gets advantage just like Sky Striker, and then it recurs its advantage just like Salamangreat, but actually better because you have like a lot of not once per turn effects that you can abuse, which is super nice. And then we have a Double Beast. You always want your cards to be self-replacing. Double Dragon. It hurts to see people playing one. This card's nuts. This is why you can just grind through back row. How you grind through back row with this deck, if it's back rows like Prison, Ice Dragon's Prison, Solemn Strike, Dino Mischief, and Dogmatic of Punishment and Torrential, you grind through those back rows by dropping fusion spells and forcing those cards out. And you're just going to keep playing through them. You're going to 1-for-1 your opponent, trade them, and just keep dropping those fusions and those bombs, dropping all these effects in graveyard, chain blocking, and you're just going to, like, I've literally forced out an entire set back row. Just playing Shaddolls. This deck's insane. I mean, this is one of the reasons, but also heads-up plays that you can do against evenly matched is if your opponent enters battle phase, you could say at the start of battle phase, activate El Shaddol Fusion, and you can make your construct, use your dragon to dump a name that you don't want to get banished because it can pop your own spells or traps, and at the end of it, you can just banish the construct and keep the Schism. So that way you only really lose construct, but you still get to activate all the Shaddol effects that you need to. And if you had your Resh, which I typically have Resh and I hold it sometimes, or you can activate in draw phase to play around talent, you can send Dragon from your deck to your grave off construct to pop your Resh so it doesn't get banished face down off of the evenly match. Like if you guys see me play this deck, you'll learn a lot in terms of like playing Shaddolls, the way they're designed to be played. And then you have one Falco and one Kaios. Since I don't have the Magistus Link 1, this card is super necessary, but when I do get the Magistus Link 1, I'm 100% cutting this card. I mean, the effective special from hand, I like just never use it. I've only boosted like maybe once in my life, and it was boosting a construct to get over a Dragoon because he didn't negate it. But this card is just like not that good. They could have gave it a way better effect. All it really is a doll that's a light. And Magistus, the Link 1 changes that because all your Dark Dolls can become a Link, a light one if you need them to be. So moving past that, getting into the spells, we have 3 Patchwork. This card is insane. This is like my preference. I'm pretty much like the guy that made this card super popular way back when the Shaddoll Structure deck first came out. It was like a week or two. Like I think it was the first week of it being out. Everybody's rushing to get it. The first event was the Team Las Vegas YCS. And I took my Pure Shaddolls to that event, and I was playing this, and then it just started surging in popularity because this card is so good. It's a self-replacing +1 that gets you a fusion attribute and a fusion spell off one card, and it forces Gamma in your hand because people always ash it or negate it. It's a must negate. Think of it this way. Every fusion spell in this deck is a must negate if your opponent can negate it, because they cannot afford to let you get Op Colone or anything like that on field, because not only are you going to chain block, but if your hand makes Op Colone, then now their negate is getting negated in a way that they can't even respond, because Op Colone could be chain link 1. So if they don't have like droplets or Infinite Impermanence or like Dogmatica Fleur-de-Lis, they're just not stopping it. So that's the beauty of activating fusion spells going second, playing Shaddolls, is they have to be responded to if your opponent's smart. And plus, you get way too much advantage if they let it resolve, so their negates diminish in their value. And then we have Shadoll Fusion. Card is just literally broken. This card is just so good, you guys. This card is just, I can't over-exaggerate on how broken and powerful this card is. Shadoll Fusion ends games by itself. This is one of the scariest things about this deck, that people, whenever they see you playing this deck, they are always scared of this card. The only way to play around it is to make a mediocre board, which means this card is not needed to fuse from deck, but it's just so insane. And my favorite personal Shaddol spell is El Shaddol Fusion because of its versatility and its applicability in any phase, making it an OTK enabler, a way to play around Drone Lockbird and activating in draw phase. And also in the mirror match, this is my benefit because I play 3 of this, and most people are literally playing 1 of this and 3 Shaddol Fusion, and it really hurts my feelings. Is what I do, if I have Squamata or Dragon access, I will activate El Shaddol Fusion in a mirror match, and I'll basically send Dragon to pop the Schism if I know where it is, or I'll still try to snipe it. And if I snipe it, they can't chain it because this is in draw phase. So this card is really insane, including in the mirror match. For when they activate their Schism, you can chain L. So what happens is you can chain your L, summon your Opcolone, and then their Schism resolves. And it doesn't send the Opcolone because it wasn't up. Basically, oh yeah, it will be up, never mind, but you summon Opcolone, their Schism resolves, it'll make them want to summon a Dark, so they'll probably summon Winda, and then they'll send the Opcolone, and you'll get all your graveyard effects plus your Opcolone search. If they summon Construct, then it's just going to get negated on a separate chain, because it's going to go Construct, Opcolone, target. So when you chain this and summon Opcolone, it always makes them want to summon a Dark, so they can send Opcolone. And ideally, they have to summon Winda if they want to stop your plays. If they go for Opcolone, you can just keep playing through it. So this card is really insane in the mirror match if you know what you're doing. And also just being able to dump Aerial. The other thing about in the mirror match, which I think is important since Shaddolls are being popular and people are like trying to learn this deck, is activating El Shaddol Fusion in draw phase, sending Aerial to banish the Shaddolls from their graveyard. They can't change Schism because it's not main phase. So now if they have it, they have to banish the cards from their field, which is a huge neg. So that's why this card is broken, including chaining it to targeting effects like Dogmatic Punishment, Dino Mischius, Chain Conquistador. You know what they're going to pop, so you chain Fuse off, so they have to pop something else. This card just has so much diversity because it's literally quick play and it's chainable to anything. This card's just a blowout. It's insane. Imperial Order, Anti-Spell, you name it. This card's nuts. And then we have 3 Polymerization, and then finally 3 Super Poly. So my spells are either Fusion Enablers or Fusion Attributes, being that Foolish and Emergency Teleport are Fusion Attributes. So we have basically the 15 Fusion spells, which is more than enough in a 60-card deck. And then I play also Black Sheeps, which gives me 17 Fusion Outlets, and that's almost a third of my deck, and that's what I want. Every hand, ideally, I want at least 2 Fusion spells and then some Dolls. It's just so good, you guys. So now for the hand traps, I'm playing the best hand trap you could ever play in Shaddolls is Gamma, because you have so many must negates, especially every spell going second is a must negate. It's just insane. People will draw you on resolution of your Search Off Patchwork. You'll Gamma them. You'll activate Shaddol Fusion. They'll try to chain Ash. You'll Gamma them. This card is super good, and you can play Omega, but I just turn it into a free construct. I mean, not construct, a free Cross Sheep for my troubles. So your card is just nuts, and it's light. And then we have a triple Nib and triple Ash Blossom for the hand traps. These are just really good at what they do. Nib is here to prevent the Vanity's Ruler. If I see they have the fodder, you can just, on res of them summoning off Gamma L10, reveal, drop Nib. You can also chain Nib to them using the Ritual spell to target. You can chain Nib. Card's just super duper nice. And against the bird deck, obviously Nib is crazy because you don't want that Barrier Statue to hit the field. You don't really care too much about VFD hitting the field, but this also is just conveniently good against all the decks that put up boards that are trouble for you. Nib is good. That's why I main deck this instead of like Ghost Spell or Skullmeister. And it's a light for Construct, and Ash is just insane. I actually wanted to play Grista. I really wanted to play Grista, but I just hate that there's so many effects that summon through an effect and not an initial inherent summon. Like, you can't negate Ecclesia's effect to summon with this, or Fleur-de-Lis, or Virtual World effects, or Drytron effects. You can only negate, like, extra deck summons, and at that point, Winda's always going to be better. The only benefit of this for me, outside of it being good against Pendulum, is maybe if I drew a doll plus an Ash and a fusion, then I could still fuse into this. So it's just something I want, but I don't think it's the format for Grista right now. But these are the hand traps. And now, these are like engine requirements. We have 2 black sheeps, just giving me more fusion attributes or fusion spells if I need it to be. This card is so funny how it just like forces negates. It's so cool. And then we have, it's just another card that forces Gamma in your hand. We have 2 Edge of Chains, the targets for Patchwork. We have 1 Trick Clown, so that you can always have utility with Madman. It could be a Verde Anaconda, so if you bait the negate off Dragoon, you can normal Madman, go into Verde, and you can still like super poly it. And then we have Golden Lord. This card is nuts. This card makes your grind game even more impeccable than it already is. And it makes Ulti King a lot easier without having to play into cards like Nibiru if you don't need to. But funny enough, you can always drop Window on your 5th summon anyways. But this card is just insane. It's really insane. Every spell or trap you can send off of it that has Shaddol in its name is valuable because you can get those cards back too. I've even done combos where I fused with this. I had a Red Shaddol Incarnation in my hand. So I fused with this, did my Construct combo. I summoned my Aerial. I linked it off. Then I set my Resh, send it from field to grave, summoned this, and then did the Resh, flip the Aerial, and combo it that way. This card is just so skillful in this deck, and just gives you recursive spot removal. It's so good. It's way too good in this deck. You should not play it, and no matter what variant. Even if I was playing Invoke Dolls, I would want to play Golden Lord. It's a great Shaddol fusion target. Then I'm on double Schism, double Resh, best Shaddol traps in the game, and then Core, obviously super OP. Core just keeps you on your toes, bro. Like, this card is very, very nice. It hurts to see anybody not playing it, especially if you're on a trap build. You know, this card is just nuts. It's so good. It's just super loopy. I love Resh so much. I love summoning Construct. The best way to abuse this is by looping Construct and Occolone to just perm negate cards, dump cards, get advantage, and then when they die, you can add this back, which is super nice. You can even just use Occolone. I've seen people ask questions like, what do you do? How do you not run out of fusion monsters? And as you see, I'm not playing Hound in this build. I miss my Hound. I want to play Hound again. But what you do is you actually just use Occollone's effect to add a Shaddol fusion monster from your extra deck to your graveyard, and then you don't have to discard because you didn't add anything to hand, and then you just keep looping your fusions that way. So you can use Occolone to recycle your fusions, and then you can use Resh to recycle Occolone, so you have an infinite resource loop. That's why I'm saying it's how you do it. Like, people don't know, bro. Like, they will literally talk about burning out of resources and not having enough Shaddol fusion monsters and saying they wish they played Pot of Avarice. I've seen Pot of Avarice comments. It's like the deck is already designed to do that. You can literally Occolone back your fusion monsters, no discard, and use Resh to bring Occolone back, and you can do that loop until you get all your fusions back into your extra deck. It's just insane. Like, this card is so freaking good. This card is nuts. It's so good. Like, I just can't stress it enough. This is why my ideal ending board, when I'm summoning Construct and looping her effect, I get Schism, Resh, and El Shaddol Fusion. If I only could dump once, I obviously go for Schism. But sometimes if I already hard drew L or something, I'll go for Resh, because I like Resh and L, the way they interact. Because you Resh for Construct, get advantage or disruption, and then El Shaddol Fusion to get your cards back and just chain block so much. So these cards are just insane. Very insane. And the reason why I play 2 Schism is in case I activate an effect to target it, and they either Skullmeister it or they DD Crow the actual target, and then you'll have a way to access Schism again, but you won't have a second copy, and that's why it does come up, including when it gets banished. So that is the main deck. Now for the extra deck, I play 4 Construct. This card is broken. It's never going to be Power Crab. She is a must negate, whether you are negating her effect to sin or negating her effect to kill something in damage step at the start. This card breaks boards and makes boards. It's like literally insane. Like, this Construct is, if I could play 15 Constructs, bro, and get away with it, she is just that good. Like, you will use Occolone to recycle her and keep some there. Because I have some combos where I know I can recycle her, so I play kind of greedy, and I resolve her effect like 4 times because I do off Aerial to bring her back, and I burn all my Constructs on purpose because I know I'm going to get them back off Resh Shaddol Incarnation, and I'm going to put them back off Occolone back into the extra deck. And another cool heads-up play you can do that a lot of people really, I've never seen this done, except I'm kind of crazy sometimes, is you can actually flip Shaddol Dragon to bounce as a disruption in your opponent's turn. So something I would do when you have Hound and you like summon a dragon face down is you could use Resh to target Construct, bring her back, and then Sin Hound, target the Shaddol Beast. The Shaddol Dragon, flip it to bounce something. It's just like so many cool things you can do. With this card is just broken. Bottom line, like it's so good. She's so good. And this card is almost equally as important. Now, every combo that can make Dweller or Appaloosa can make this. And I opt to make this because it gives me an additional fusion outlet and an additional resource as a follow-up engrave. This card is a broken follow-up because it's just another fusion outlet, and it's a link climb, it's a Boral Sword. It's so many different things. This card is very, very good. Then we have a new addition is 3 Op Cologne, not 2, because this card's broken. This card's stupid good. This card is tomfoolery and nonsense. That's what this card is. Op Cologne is freaking insane. Like, forever, your card's negated. Forever. And I just get to sit here. And when you finally kill me, if you don't have Shinshin up, I just get to search whatever I need, recur whatever I need, recycle my extra deck, and just keep abusing these. Like, these right here, this is your second best fusion. And your third best fusion, believe it or not, you guys would say Wenda's the best. She's the third best, is Wenda. I am not a Wenda or bust kind of Shaddol player. I don't just invest all of my resources into Wenda, but when I know the deck loses to Wenda, I am so good with comboing this deck that I can set up a way to get Wenda out 3 times. I can end on a Wenda, or I can have El Shaddol Fusion into Wenda plus Schism into Wenda, and if they out Wenda 2 times, I'll use Rest Incarnation to bring the Wenda back from my graveyard, and just boom, there's the third Wenda. So I have combos where I can set up 3 ways into Wenda. If they drew just the nuts, like let's say they just were like super nice and they just had droplets and like, who knows, Golden Lord, droplets, just all kinds of nonsense, you could still summon Wenda a 3rd time. And that's just, it comes in the territory of playing this deck for so long and practicing a lot. And then we have Shikinaga, card's a beast. So good. Oh man, I pity the soul who doesn't play Shikinaga. She's amazing. And Gravity Controller, best utility link in the deck. In the extra deck, we have Cross Sheep. Part of almost every ending board I have, I leave Cross Sheep up. Because like I said, I just like to go for the advantage. So I leave Cross Sheep up. It allows me to chain block more, get more advantage out, and discard's a threat. People actually want to kill it, so they do. Because I just keep summoning from my grave, looping my cards. If you play the Magistus cards, you can bring back the Cinderella, the level 4, off of Cross Sheep on your opponent's turn. If you play Dogmatica cards, you can send, like your, what's that girl's name? The Ecclesia, if she's in grave, you can fusion summon into Cross Sheep Zone, trigger its effect, summon Ecclesia, get another Surge. There's so many ways you can abuse this card. Such a skillful card. People just don't play it right. They link it off ASAP into like Appaloosa. I don't. And then we have Verte. Verte is another great utility card. Boral Sword, Shadow Fusions, and OTK. And then Abyss Dweller, because the mirror match is super important, and because my deck is a fusion-based build, I can turn 1 Dweller. This kills Nadir Servant's full value outside of searching like a punishment or fleur-de-lis. So this turns off Nadir Servant's best effect. This kills every Shaddol effect in grave, so that way like you can't lose the mirror match. If you set up, and in the mirror match, that's also something important to note. I'm going to save my side deck for Patreons only this time. For the mirror match, it's super duper important to know that Wenda is not really like the ideal play in most circumstances. The only times you really want to Wenda is, let's say your opponent activates Shaddol Fusion. You don't chain L to summon Wenda because they're going to get Op Cologne. A lot of people do this. This is a smart play. This is what I do. I don't know about you, but this is what I do. I will let the Shaddol Fusion resolve, see what they summon, and if they have any effects to special summon in that chain link, I can then chain L in response, put my Wenda up, so now they're locked out of special summoning any further after that Wendy resolves and summons. That's their final special summon, forcing them into battle phase, and you can deal with them appropriately. And if they summon a construct, the benefit is if you have your own Schism, after that resolves and you lock them out of their special summons, you can flip your Schism, summon your own constructs, send theirs, get your advantage of using your construct to dump the aerial and banish some of their resources, which puts them super far behind. That's like the big brain play in the mirror match that I don't really see people doing. And Dweller also obviously is just insane. It's like True King of all Chlamydia's little brother, basically. But yeah, that is the end of the profile in the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. I feel so weird saying that. Just stay tuned for future content. Be on the lookout. Catch me on the upside. And again, I would super duper appreciate if any of you guys would be a blessing to me in supporting my channel, whether it's financially or if you have cards that I don't have, and I need those cards and I can't afford to buy them, it'd be great if you wanted to trade me, even if you didn't want to give it away, you know, even just trading, you know, making things easier. It's just, anything's a blessing. But our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Lord Jesus Christ. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth just as it is in heaven. Please give us this day our daily bread, Lord Jesus, and please forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, Father, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power forever. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen. This is the Lord's Prayer that Jesus gave us, and he said this is how we ought to pray. I just do it because since it's a public prayer, this is just something like that I like to do. But anyways, peace.